So today we're going to do the handover video on the Chausson V-Line V594. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, you'll notice that you've got your fill-up points. You've got diesel at the top and then AdBlue below. Opening up the passenger door, you've got your MS cab blinds, which just slide up like so. And as you can see, lock in like so. And then when you have them at the top, you can just lock them in like so, into that point there. You've then got your bonnet release catch, which is on this side. Pull that, as I say, that'll release the bonnet. Under the bonnet, there's not many things that you need to know. The main things that you need to know are your jump points if you ever stall the vehicle. I'll pull up the actual bonnet now, and I'll show you where that is done from. Okie dokie, so with the bonnet up, you can see where your jump points are. You've got your negative, which will pop onto there, and then your positive, which is just below onto there. There is a cap that goes over this that has a little plus sign on there to indicate that it's positive. As I say, they're the main things that you need to know, but just to point out a couple more things, you've got your brake disc fluid here, your engine coolant, here, power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, and then below here you have your engine oil and your dipstick, which is just below that. Coming away from the bonnet, on the other side of the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got your mains 230 volt hookup point, and this is when you're on a site, you can hook up straight into there. You've then got your gas point. This has refillable gas, which all you need to do is unscrew that and connect your pump up and fill your gas up, which is LPG. Next to that, you have your toilet cassette locker, which I'll open up for you and show you how that operates. With the locker door open, you can gain access to the cassette. What you need to do is firstly make sure that the blade on the inside is closed. You can then pop up your little latch and pull out the toilet cassette like so. What I'll do is I'll just pull that out onto the ground now and show you how to empty it and clean it. With the cassette out, it's dead simple to empty this. All you need to do is simply twist out the funnel, unscrew the cap, then using the little button on the back, press that in, and that'll release a vacuum which is on the inside of the cassette. That'll empty all of its contents out without any splashback. And then once you've done that, put a bit of water in just to rinse it. Once you've finished with this, put the cap back on, simply push the funnel straight in like that, and then you're good to put it back in. Now you will notice that you have got a little orange cap here, which does turn like so. Now always leave it in that position. You shouldn't need to do anything with that. That's what connects onto your blade. I'll go into detail about the blade on the inside when we move on to the inside of the vehicle. Moving away from the cassette toilet, you have your drain down points, which are here. You'll notice that you've got a grey pipe and also a blue pipe. Your blue one is for your fresh water drain down, and then your grey rather is for your wastewater drain down point. You've got three main drain down points in the vehicle. You've one for your fresh, which is here, one for your waste, and then one for your boiler drain down point, which on this vehicle is on the inside. All you need to do, as I say, is turn these and to drain the system. Now whilst we're on the topic of your drain down points, including your boiler, what you can do is when you've drained the majority of the water out, leave these all open, because as you're travelling down the motorway, all that water is going to come out, and make sure that it's going to come out because of the vibrations of the road, emptying that tank. And at the end of the day, it is just water, so you're not going to harm anything with any chemicals. You will also notice underneath here, just quickly, you've got a pipe just leading to the bottom, and that's just a breather pipe. In essence, that's your exhaust for your heating. Next, you've then got your fridge vents. You've got a Dometic fridge fitted on this vehicle, and that's where they are located. Coming to the back, you've got the bike rack already fitted on. You've got two rails on the back of this to simply connect your bike, and you can also see that you've got your reversing camera, which is neatly installed up at the top for you. Coming along to the other side as well, before we move on into the inside, you'll notice that you've got your long awning, which is a teardrop awning, which is fitted to the top of the vehicle, like so. This is a Thule awning, and you'll have your awning pole, which will be in the vehicle. Simply connect that up and wind it out. Craig has sent you, or a colleague has sent you a video on how to operate this, which we'll send in a separate email. Moving on to the inside of the vehicle, you've got your control panel, which is just up here. Your main isolator button, if I click that, you'll notice that your lights turn off rather. Click that on, like so, and that will turn everything on and activate it. You can see that here you've got your battery level reading. At the moment we're not plugged in, hence why it is just reading poor. And you can see that your levels just come up on here. For your internal lights, if you click that, that'll turn on some more strip lighting, which is down here. And then on the other side, you've got another light, which is for the outside awning light. If you click your levels here, as you can see, using this button, you can flick through the options. You've got your water level tanks. You can also select your battery, depending on whether you want to run your vehicle off your leisure battery or your vehicle battery. If I was you, always leave it on leisure battery because you don't want to run a flat. Click again. You can adjust the colour and also the time and things like that. And then we're back to your leisure battery. So dead simple, and this will tell you all your levels that you need to know. You've also got your pump button here. If I click that on, that'll activate the pump. Now you need to firstly make sure that you've got water in the system. With that done, you then go to all of your taps. So in this case, you have your tap here. Push this up, turn it on and turn it to hot. Do this with all of your taps, including your shower. And what that'll do is it'll pull fresh water from the fresh water tank into your system and then out of your tap. It'll spurt and splutter, and once it's running steadily, you've primed your system for your hot water. You always do it on hot first because that'll prime your boiler as well as priming your system. As I say, once you've done it on hot, flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. And like I said before, do this for all of your taps, including your shower. Once you've done that, you can leave your pump on because your pump won't be burnt out, because on each of your taps you have a micro switch, so it'll only activate your pump when you need it. As I say, the only time you need to turn your pump off is if you ever don't have any water in the system, because you don't want to burn it out. Next to there, you've then got two switches which will turn off independent lights, and we've then got your heating system. I'm going to leave the heating system till last. We'll come back and do this later. Moving into the kitchen area, you'll notice that you've got your hob, which is gas, and then your grill, which is just below there. You've got storage in each of these, which you can access. However, the main thing that you need to know in here is your final drain down point. As I say, there's three main drain downs, which is your wastewater, your fresh water, and also your boiler drain down. And as you can see by this little switch here, this is for your boiler. All you need to do is simply spin that to this position here, and as indicated on the top, which is quite hard to see on the video, that will empty and drain the boiler. Make sure that you then turn that to seal the boiler to make sure any water doesn't come out when you are, of course, using the van. You need to always make sure that you drain down, and this goes for all your drain down points. Always make sure you drain down all your systems when not using the vehicle, because you don't want to run the risk of getting any frozen water in the system. So do bear that in mind. Moving to the back, you'll then notice that you've got your Dometic fridge, which is on the left hand side here. This is a three-way fridge. It's a three-way fridge. It's called that rather because there's three ways to fuel it. You've got the option of running it off 230 volt, gas, or 12 volt. 230 volt, you're going to be using that when you're on a campsite. Your gas, you're going to be using when you're wild camping, and then your 12 volt, you're going to be using when you're travelling and moving. Now, a lot of people think that when they're wild camping, they can run it off the 12 volt battery. However, that isn't the case, because you'll simply drain the battery and completely use up all of its charge. The reason for that is you need to select it on gas. The only reason you can use the 12 volt as when you're travelling is because in this vehicle you have a built-in alternator, which is sends a feed of charge to the leisure battery, which will allow you to power the fridge. You've then got your temperature here, so by clicking this you can alter the temperature, and then you've also a warning button which is on the back there, which in essence will reset the entire fridge if you was to ever select the incorrect fuel. Above this, you've got some storage, as you can see, along with your aerial, which has been fitted in the back there. Make sure that the aerial's on, obviously, to get a signal. indicated by the blue light. That shows that you have got a signal. In the back you've got your 2 couches, you've got all your fuses on this side of the vehicle, and then a bit more storage underneath this bench here. To turn this into a bed, all you have to do is simply pull out these rails here. Now I've just left one out, but as you can see that you've got a rail that will clip into these points here. You've one at the front, and then one that can go at the front as well here, at the back rather. That'll slot into there, and as I say, that'll allow you to pull these rails out, and that will simply support the weight. Once you've done that to both sides, using the seats, you can then pull them into position to make a big double bed. On each of your windows, you've got, as you can see, a fly screen and a blackout blind which will pull up. Moving into your bathroom area, as we say with your bathroom, it's dead simple. Make sure that that's turned on to pull the water through, but you will also notice that you've got your cassette toilet. As I mentioned outside, you've got something called a blade on the toilet which will open and close the blade, or the cassette rather, which will allow the waste to drop in. You need to operate that by pulling this towards you. That will then open the blade and open the cassette. That means all the waste can drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, press your blue button which will activate your flush, and that will empty the system. Once you've done that, close the blade. You need to close the blade for one of 2 reasons. The first one will stop odours from escaping, and the second one will make sure that whenever you come to remove the cassette, you don't run into the issue of it jamming. Now coming back up to your flush, one thing to know that you need to have your pump on at all times in order of activating your flush, and when your cassette toilet is full you'll get a red light which is indicated on here. At the moment we have got a bit of water in the cassette just to clean it out, hence why we've got that red light. On this side, if you push this in, you've then got a built-in sink and some storage up at the top there. You can then see that we've got a couple more fuses at the front there, along with a table which is stored here, and then you are into the cab. Moving on from the bathroom area and back onto your heating. Your heating controls, as I say, are just above the habitation door, just along this panel here. Now you'll notice that you've got 2 heating controls. You've one for your space heater and you've one for your temperature of your water. Now firstly, these are motion detected and they'll just pick up just with a bit of motion. As you can see, you can turn it on like so. So to turn it, you can alter between the temperature like so, using the plus and minus. Beneath that you've then got the options of fuel. If you want to run it off gas when you're wild camping, just click that button there. And then if you're running it off electric, for example when you're on a campsite, simply click and hold the electric button, and that'll then load up. I'm not currently plugged in, hence why that's not popping up, but when I was plugged in, that just goes to a coloured colour, an orange colour rather, and that will activate everything. Now if you keep on holding this, you'll see there's 3 dots just above there. That depends on how much power of electric you want it to use. So for example, the first one will mean 1 kilowatt, the second one 2 kilowatt, and the third one 3 kilowatt. Again, depending on how much power you are supplied with. As I say, the first one is for the space heater. The second works a very similar way, and this is for your water temperature. Firstly, you'll notice you've got the option of running it off Eco or Boost, which is like a high. Eco is approximately 40 degrees and the Boost is approximately 70 degrees. You run it off this one, for example, when you're washing your pots and pans, and you run it off your Eco, that one, when you're washing, when you're having a shower and things like that. Now below there, again, exact same system. You can either run it off your gas, as you can see like so, or you can run it off your electric, and it's the exact same in terms of your power, holding it to change between different powers and things like that. When you leave that just goes off, but one thing to know is when you have got it running, your temperature will begin to increase and show you on the display there. The final thing before we conclude for today's handover video, in the final bench, as I mentioned before, you have got your fuse box, or your power supply unit as it's called here, along with your leisure battery. Your leisure battery is in here, you don't need to do anything with that. And as I've mentioned, all your fuses are all here, and this just gives you your tank heater and your 12 volt power supply. You don't need to do anything with this, just leave that as it is. This is simply for the technicians who are working on the vehicle, so don't worry about that. You can see by flicking these up, you've got your fuses along with your trip box there. The main thing that you will need to know is if your vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this RCD breaker to flick these back up. You will notice that you've got a little button on the top there which has a T in it, which stands for test. So for example, if you're on site and you're getting no electric to the vehicles, you can't turn your lights on or anything, what you need to do is click this test button. If each of these trip down, you know that you're getting power to the vehicle, so it's therefore not a fault with your hookup lead or the campsite, it's a fault with your vehicle. And moving on, you can then check all your fuses. More often than not, you'll click that test button and these won't trip down. The reason for that is the site is at fault, or the hookup cable that you're using is a faulty cable. And that concludes the RCD breaker and, as I say, your fuses. So that completes today's video on the Chausson V-Line V594. I hope you enjoyed.